This is page 1 of your systems test review. Question number 1 says, which graph best represents the solution set to the system of inequalities? So what I suggest is you grab a graph paper that you can graph yourself using these two inequalities and then see which one best matches your answer choices. So starting with the first line, I would ask my kids, is this line ready to graph? And they would say, yes. Y is positive and it's by itself, which means we can graph this. So step 1 is to graph the y-intercept. What is my y-intercept here? Positive 1. So we're going to go down on my y-axis to positive 1 and plot my first point. Step 2 is to plot the slope. What is my slope for the first inequality? My slope is negative 1. When there's no number next to x, that's just a 1, so it's negative 1. And when there's no number underneath, I like to write a 1 when I'm graphing. So then I would ask my kids, where are we moving? Are we moving up and right, or are we going to move down and right? And they would say down and right, because it's negative. Negative, we go down. So from my y-intercept, we'll go down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. And we're going to keep going using this pattern until you can't go anymore. Once I run out of room, we're going to go back to the beginning and go the opposite way. Instead of going down and right, we're going to go up and left. So up 1, left 1. Up 1, left 1. And you're going to keep going until you make the perfect line. And we can't connect them just yet because we're dealing with inequalities. So this means dashed, solid, and we're shading above or below. So next step is this dashed or solid? This is going to be a dashed line because there's no line underneath my inequality sign. So we're just going to draw a few dashes in between my points. The next step is, are we shading above or below? So what I tell my kids is to write B, E, leave a blank, O, W. They're going to write that inequality sign in the middle. And does it spell the word below? Yes, this looks like somewhat of an L. So it does say below, which means I shade below. So we're just going to draw a few lines shading below. So far this is what my line looks like. Now we are going to graph the second inequality. So I would ask my kids, is this one ready to graph? And they would say, yes. Y is by itself and it's positive. So I draw myself a little smiley face and we can go ahead and graph this. So step 1 is to graph the y-intercept. My y-intercept here is negative 2. So I'm going to go down my y-axis down to negative 2 and plot my first point. The next step is to graph the slope. My slope here is 1. When there's no number next to x, that means it's 1. And when I don't have a number underneath, I like to add a 1. So then I would ask my kids, where are we moving? Are we moving up and right or down and right? We would be moving up and right because it is a positive slope. So from my y-intercept, we're going to go up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. And you're going to keep making your line all the way. And once you run out of space, you're going to go back. So instead of going up and right, we're going to go down and left, the opposite way. So down 1, left 1. Down 1, left 1. And you're just going to keep going and done. So here is my second line. The next step is this going to be solid or dashed? It's going to be solid because there was a line underneath. Extra line means extra ink. So we're going to connect our points, making a solid line. The next step is, are we shading above or below? So I'm going to write the word B, E, leave a space, O, W. We're going to input this inequality sign in the middle. And does it spell the word below? No, it does not. It does not look like an L, which means it doesn't say the word below. So that means I'm shading above. So I'm just going to draw a few lines above that entire purple line. So as you can see, I'm shading all above the purple line. So now that I'm done graphing my two lines, as you can see, there's only one shading in all of my answer choices. That one shading means that's the double shaded area. So looking at my graph, where is the double shaded area? The double shaded area is right here. We have purple and we have orange right here. So this is the double shaded area, which means it's got to be answer choice A or D. So I can cross out B and C. Now the only difference between A and D is my lines. This is dashed, that's solid. This one's solid, this one's dashed. So we have to look, which one is the correct lines? The one that has the correct line is answer choice A. This line should be dashed, which it is. And this line should be solid, which it is. So A is the correct answer choice. Number 2A says Carly orders from Uber Eats and Grubhub and wants to compare their prices for delivering a meal from Taco Bell. Uber Eats charges $8 for the meal and 25 cents per mile that she lives from the restaurant. Grubhub charges $6 for the meal and and 45 cents per mile. Which is the most appropriate system of equations to represent the situation? So I'm going to use two colors here. I'm going to write the equations myself, and I'm going to start with Uber Eats. So wherever I see Uber Eats, I'm going to go underline. So here it says Uber Eats charges $8 for the meal and 25 cents per mile that she lives from the restaurant. So as you can see, all of my answer choices are set up as y equals. So I'm going to set mine up as y equals. And we have mx plus b, but instead of the mx being first, they have it last, and my b is first. It's the same thing, but written differently. So let's see, what do we have here? It says Uber Eats charges $8 for the meal and 25 cents per mile. So my key words here is per mile. Per mile means every mile, 25 cents, 25 cents, 25 cents. So per mile, this is going to be my x. So 0.25 x. Plus, they charge $8 for the meal. The $8 happens one time. So there, you do not put x next to the 8. So this is Uber Eats. So going through my answer choices, let's look at A. This is written incorrectly, so A is not my answer. B is also written incorrectly with the wrong numbers. B is not my answer. C is written good so far. We have 8 by itself plus 2.5x. So this is written correctly. D has the wrong numbers. One of the wrong numbers, so D is not my answer, so it has to be C. But I'm going to go through one more time just to double check Grubhub. So we have Grubhub y equals Grubhub charges $6 for the meal and 45 cents per mile. So the point 45 is going to have an X next to it for 45 cents per mile, plus a $6 charge for the meal. That only happens one time. So if I look at answer choice C, that is written correctly. So C is my correct answer. (2B) says, using your system for the Uber Eats / Grubhub problem above, for what mileage would the two delivery services charge the same price for a Taco Bell delivery, and what would the cost be? So we are going to type both of our equations in, because as we can see, they're both ready to graph. So y is by itself, which means I can graph that. And I can graph the other one. So we're going to use Desmos to type this in. So I have y equals 0.25x plus 8, and then I have y equals 0.45x plus 6. And as you can see, here are my two lines. So when we're looking for the same price, I'm going to draw a little picture down here. The same price is when the two lines cross. So you're looking for when the two lines cross and intersect. So I would draw yourself a picture right under same price. And so we have right here, we're going to click on where they cross. We have 10 and 10.5. So I want you to write that over here off to the side. 10, 10.5. Remember, this is x and this is y. So I want you to remember what each one represents. X represents per mile. So remember, we said x is per mile. So I want you to label that. So per mile. And the y represents the total cost. So y is total cost. So when you're filling in these blanks, make sure you fill them in correctly. It says each delivery service would charge how much money? $10.50 for a 10-mile delivery. So the x is your miles and the y is your cost. Number 3 says, what is the solution to the system of equations? So we're looking for the x and the y. Now, when you're looking at this kind of system, you have to decide what is the best method to use. Is it substitution? Is it elimination? Or do you type it into Desmos? So what is the best solution, or what is the best method that you would use? In this case, I can see that, let's see, picking my color here, I can see that the y is already by itself. So to me, I'm going to use the substitution method. So I'm going to write that down. When a variable is by itself, I'm thinking substitution. So I'm going to circle the variable by itself, and I'm going to put a box next to what it's equal to. So I tell my kids the variable by itself is my quarterback. Okay, my quarterback's super important, so remember that. We're going to come back to the quarterback later, so keep that in mind. Next to the quarterback is his skills. So put a box around his skills. Here's my quarterback, and we're going to plug him into the game. So the other equation is the game. If my quarterback is y, he's got to go in for y. So I want you to circle the y variable. If he's y, he's got to go in for y. So I want to plug all of his skills into the game. So we're going to rewrite who is in the game now after we plug in or sub in my quarterback. So I'm going to rewrite the game off to the side over here. So 6x is still in the game. Plus 3 is still in the game. However, y is no longer in the game. Y got taken out and got subbed in for 3x minus 20. Close it up. Then go back to the game, finish writing who's still in the game, equals negative 15. Once you've rewritten who's in the game, now we're going to solve. Notice you should only have one variable, x and x. So you're solving for x. So now let's solve. We're going to draw a line down my equal sign here. Step 1 is to get rid of your parentheses. So parentheses first. We have 3 times 3x. So 3 times 3 is 9. So we have 9x. Then we have 3 times negative 20. So 3 times negative 20 is negative 60. Once I'm done with parentheses, we bring everything else down. So bring down 6x. This was a positive 9x, so put a plus. Equals, bring down negative 15. My next step is to combine like terms. So we're going to combine my x's, 6x plus 9x. So you're going to add those two together. 6 plus 9 is 15. So we get a positive 15x. And then I'm going to bring down everything else. So bring down that minus 60 equals negative 15. So next, I want to keep x over here on the left side, so keep it there. I want to move everything else around it, starting with the most outer layers. So negative 60 needs to move to the other side. How do I move a negative 60? Positive 60. So we're going to add 60. Add 60. And then we're going to draw a big plus sign here, and we're going to add all of this up. So starting with 15x plus nothing is still 15x. So we're going to bring it over here. Then we're going to add up negative 60 plus positive 60, which is 0. So these eliminate. So we cross those out. They eliminate to 0. Then we're going to add up negative 15 plus a positive 60, which equals 45. My last step is to divide. So we're going to divide by the coefficient. My coefficient here is 15, the number next to x. So divide by 15, divide by 15. 15's cancel. X equals, we're going to do 45 divided by 15, which equals 3. So the value of x in the solution for this system is 3. But now I have to go find out what y is. So remember when I said my quarterback was super important? We're going to go back and we're going to use this same equation, this one here with my quarterback. And we're going to go find the y value because we still don't know the y value, which is my quarterback. So I have y equals 3 parentheses because I do know x now. What is x? X is 3. So we're going to go plug in 3 for x right there. And then you're going to finish writing this equation, minus 20. So now all I have to do is type this part into Desmos. So all I have to do is type this part into Desmos, and it should give me my answer to what y is. So I have y equals, we're going to type this in, 3 parentheses 3 minus 20, which equals negative 11. So y is equal to negative 11. So in my solution, I would write this as 3 comma negative 11. This is my x and this is my y. Number 4 says, which of the following is the solution for the system? So again, what is the best method to solving this? So I'm looking and I'm deciding that the best method is probably going to be elimination. Here's why I'm choosing the elimination method. Do you see a variable by itself, like this one? Do you see a variable by itself completely? No, I don't. Do I see a variable I can eliminate? Can I eliminate the x's? No. Can I eliminate my y's? Yes. They're the same, but opposite signs, which means when I add these, they're going to eliminate. So I'm using the elimination method. So I'm going to draw myself a line and a big plus sign here, and we're going to add everything up. So here's Desmos. We're going to add 6 plus a positive 2, which gives me 8x. When it's just y by itself, that's a negative 1 and a positive 1. So we're going to add negative 1 plus positive 1, which equals 0. This is elimination, when I eliminate them because they equal 0. Don't forget your equal sign. Now we're going to add 24 plus 8, which is 32. So as you can see, I eliminated y, which means now I'm just solving for x. My last step would be to divide. So we're going to divide by 8, the coefficient. Divide by 8. My 8's cancel because they equal 1. So x equals 32 divided by 8, which equals 4. So I know that my x value is 4. So if I go look at my answer choices, here are all of my x's. Which one equals 4? A does not equal, my x value does not equal 4 here. This does not equal 4. That is not 4. The only one that has an x value of 4 is B. If we need to go in and double check, then we would just go plug in x and then we would solve for y.